Well, good morning and welcome to the Raising Healthy, Happy, Cooperative Kids book study live stream that we do every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Today, we're going to be talking about toxic parenting versus proactive and positive parenting. Our focus is chapter 5, but we like to change things up, bring it in a new, exciting way so that you don't get bored repeating the lessons for those of you that are showing up every single week. There's 12 chapters, and we're going to keep going through them, like I said, in just different ways. So in the last few weeks, we've talked about challenging current parenting beliefs, the reason for child rebellion, terrible twos, teenage rebellion, labels, diagnoses, the root cause of all disruptive behavior disorders like ADHD, oppositional defiant disorder, anxiety, depression, and all sorts of things. And today we're going to talk about toxic parenting. I've got 10 things that we do that are adding toxicity to our children, to our homes. Before we go through the list, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to list the 10 toxic things, and then Tom's going to share the 10 positive things. We're going to do one and then one. Does that make sense? Raise your hand. Yes? Okay, good. But before we get there, I want to read a passage out of this book. It's called The Voice of Knowledge by Miguel Ruiz. And when I read this book several years ago, I didn't really focus on it like when it comes to parenting or what my children would feel. I focused on this more of like for me, myself. But now I read this passage after last week's session, actually a couple of weeks ago, and I thought how powerful this is. The knowledge is out there for us. If we pick up the right books, we can see that everything that we teach at Creating Champions for Life is right on path with every single success principle to exist. So this is him talking. He's having a conversation with his grandpa, and he's talking about childhood memories and when things started to change, when he started to feel unworthy, when he started to feel less than, like he was never going to amount to anything in this world. And he says, what happened? Well, knowledge happens. I can remember starting to learn words. I learned the names of every object I perceive. I learned the language, which is great. Now I can use words to ask for what I want. Months later, or maybe years later, my mind is mature enough for abstract concepts. With these concepts, something incredible happens. I start to create stories by qualifying everything. What is right or wrong? What I should or shouldn't be? What is good or bad? Beautiful or ugly? I learn from my parents, not just what they say, but what they do. I learn what they say, not just to me, but what they say about other people. I learn how to interact. I copy everything that I see. I see my father, very powerful, with his strong opinions, and I want to be like him. I'm gonna cry. Sorry, I cry every week. I can hardly wait to grow up and have an opinion of my own. When I finally understand the language, almost everybody begins to tell me what I am. The way that I learn about myself is by hearing the opinions of the storytellers around me. My mother creates an image of me based on what she believes I am. She tells me what I am, and I believe her. Then my father tells me what I am, and it's something completely different, but I agree with him too. Of course, each of my brothers and sisters has an opinion of me, and I agree with them. Surely they know more than I do, even though I'm the one who lives in this physical body. None of this makes sense, but I'm having fun. Then I go to school and the teacher tells me what I am, which is still okay until she tells me the way I should be, but I am not. Wow. Oh, wow. Okay. Sorry. I agree. The problem begins in that moment. I hear the teacher say, children, you need to work hard to become somebody, to be a success in life. The world is divided into winners and losers, and you are here to prepare yourself to become a winner. If you work hard, perhaps you'll be a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer. My teacher tells me stories about all of the past presidents and what they did when they were children. Of course, all these heroes are winners. I'm a child. I'm innocent. I learned the concept of winner. I agree that I should become a winner and that agreement is stored in my memory. At home, I hear my parents say, Miguel, you have to behave this way to be a good boy, which means that if I don't behave that way, I'm not a good boy. They don't say this, but I understand this. You have to do this, this, and that to be a good boy. Then you'll get a reward. And if you're not that way, you'll be punished. Oops, I'm too small. They are so big. I try to rebel and I fail. They win. I start pretending to be what I am not to avoid the punishment, but also to get the reward. I have to be what they tell me to be because the reward only goes to good boys. I remember trying so hard to become what they want me to be, just to have the reward of their attention, just to hear them say, Miguel, you're such a good boy. What I don't notice behind all the messages I hear are the silent messages that are never said, but that I can understand. I'm not the way I should be. It is not okay to be me. Powerful? ah, holy cow. In a child's mind, the silent message, oh yeah, I'm not gonna, I never will be good enough because I'm not perfect. I agree. And in that moment, like most of us, I start searching for perfection. That's how the image of perfection is introduced in my mind. This is when I stop being myself and I start pretending to be what I am not. That first lie happens in my first year of school, almost right away. Sitting in that classroom and seeing my first teacher impresses me deeply. The teacher is a grown up. What she says must be the truth, as whatever my father or mother says must be the truth. She's a great teacher who really cares about children. And even though the message I receive is mostly positive, the consequence is a little different. Behind that message is something very subtle. I call it the lie of my imperfection. It is the main lie that I agree to believe about myself, and from that lie, more lies are invented to support it. This is the moment of my fall. When I start to, I'm almost done. When I start to come out of heaven, when my faith in the lie begins to work, it's magic. Just like a miracle, it starts to take effect all around me. I have to work hard to be good enough for my mother, good enough for my father, good enough for my brothers and sisters, and good enough for my teachers. Mm-hmm. And then what about me? What about the child? Who is the child supposed to be? Okay, so now we're going to go through the first toxic parenting habit that we have is we tend to control our child's behavior. We start to control them as soon as they start to move and touch things that we don't want them to touch. And so we think that we can just follow them around and we can control our thoughts, words, and behavior, but we can also control our child's thoughts, words, and deeds. So what is the proactive and positive thing that we can do as parents, Tom?
Wow, what an amazing chapter. Thank you for reading that. Oh, man. Woo. Okay. Well, if we start thinking about the toxicity, excuse me, start thinking about the toxicity. What if we were to flip the script or look at the guiding part rather than the dictating, the guiding? And in this case, if we're not looking to control it, but to guide it, and by asking a question many, many times of, do it this way, how about if we were to ask a question like, what do you see? And then wait. So they can actually have a moment to think, to actually take something in and have something validated to them of, whoa, somebody wants to hear what I have to say that could be important, versus imprinting, guiding.
Awesome. It's almost like validation, because we're going to get to ask questions here in a few points. So just validating versus trying to control with the no, you got to be like this, right? What I just read out of the passage of the book, trying to tell them, oh, you got to do this to be a good boy. and then they don't do that, and then they feel like they're not a good boy or girl. And so guiding behavior with validation, that is going to be a game changer right in itself. So number 2, we are taught to get down on their level, make eye contact, and explain to them the rules. Explain to them why they shouldn't be running out in the street at 5 years old, etc. So trying to explain to them with words in an authoritative voice is toxic.
So, as we talked about, show, don't talk. If we were to just flip it around and think, what do you see some of the big kids do? Or what do you see other people doing? And what that will do is, if actions speak louder than words, being able to allow them to see versus being talked at. They can see versus being talked at. That's the game changer.
Right. So what can they do? I'm thinking about, well, I just said the child runs out onto the street and then they get punished for running out onto the street because that's wrong. Because yes, we don't want our children running out onto the street. We do want to protect them, but words don't work because they don't see the world the way that you do. A 5-year-old cannot fast forward to 25, 30, 40 years old and go, oh yes, if I run on the street, I'm going to get hurt. So what can they do, Tom, so that the kid can actually know how to play outside in the front yard without mommy and daddy?
Practice. What you would do here is you would actually do like a practice routine, almost like a dress rehearsal, like say for a wedding or a dress rehearsal like for a play. You would actually go through the scenarios of monkey see, monkey do. You would actually go out to the street. Obviously, don't run out to the street. But if I wanted to get hit by a car, this is what I would do. I know this sounds completely counterintuitive because we want them not to get hit. But they're going to get hit. No or yes, if they go out into the street. And we call that learning the hard way. Why not learn the easier way and show them the 3 scenarios? If you want to get hit, go out here and act it out. If you want to be safe, then hang out over here. It's a matter of showing them, not telling them, is the game changer. So they can actually see it. And like Bonnie alluded just a minute ago, the words do not comprehend for them to fast forward and have a clue what you're actually saying, but they can actually see it and then believe it.
Yeah, so that's so powerful. So much better than punishing them and then getting down on their level and going, you know what, if you go out there, it's going to be dangerous and you're going to get hit by a car. They have no idea what you're saying. It's almost like that Charlie Brown, the teacher's talking, wah, 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 wah. That's what your little kids hear when you try to explain to them why they are being punished for their actions, especially when we have not taken the time to role play. Do you go to the mall? Do you want to go shopping? Do you want to be able to try on clothes in the dressing room at the mall? Then have the game at home with your children before you go to the mall. Right? This is what we do when mommy's in the changing room. If you want to take your children to a restaurant, do restaurant play. You see, children have no idea what you're saying when you go, sit up straight in the chair, stop it, be quiet. They have no idea what you're saying, and they just take it all in as if I'm not good enough. I will never be good enough because I'm not who mom expects me to be. I hope that makes sense. All right. Number 3, doing things for your child, anything that they could do on their own is a toxic parenting habit.
Absolutely. Now, I can totally relate on every level with you that, yes, we got to hurry up and get out the door. So you got to do everything for them. I got a very tight schedule. So you've got to be able, it's faster if I just do it for them. So I get all of that. However, allowing them to fail. You see, there's training and then there's actually doing the deed. So allowing them to fail. This is where education comes in many forms, but repetition is that second law of learning. So allowing them to fail is what's going to be the cornerstone for them to go, okay, if it is to be, it's up to me. And I can do this. And part of being able to do this, like the big kids that look so magical to me. My gosh, Mom, you're like Wonder Woman. You're a superhero in my world because you just make things happen first time, every time. And me, boy, without you, I couldn't do anything on my own. So allowing them to fail will give them the environment for repetition is that second law of learning. And if we could talk about that song of, I get knocked down, but I get up again. Nothing can take me out. I get knocked down, but I get up again. That's what it's all about. And so creating that will allow them to not only be able to go from zero to hero, they'll be excited about going, ooh, there's another thing that I could actually learn. And I know the process doesn't happen overnight.
No, it doesn't. And that makes so much sense because let's look at the hierarchy of a family, right? You got grandma, you got the children. Now, the children are pretty soon going to be a you. How many clients do we have, Tom, that are raising their children's children because they never went through the process of duplicating themselves? Guys, it's not our job to control them, to be, do, and have everything for them. It's our job to duplicate ourselves through them so that they can learn to do their own laundry. So you're not doing your 20-year-old's laundry anymore, so that they can learn what a bill is. You know, our 17-year-old come home last night, never even had to ask him. He plops a whole bunch of money on the table. I'm like, oh, what's that? He goes, it's for my phone bill. It's amazing. They do have the capability to do it when you take the time to teach them. And even if you have your own business, man, could you imagine having your own business, hiring 5 employees and then going, oh, forget it. It's just faster to do it myself. You just sit over there and let me just do it. And your employees are just sitting around going, well, if you just show me how to do it. Yeah, it might take a little longer to teach them how to do it. You might have to kind of slow down, like you pull the elastic back, right? You got to step back and move forward. It might take a little while to teach them, to train them, to duplicate yourself, but it would be worth it. Do you know how long it takes a child to fold a blanket? It takes to teach a child to fold a blanket or a towel. Like if you're folding laundry, do you know how long it takes to teach a child to fold a towel properly? Maybe 3 or 4 times. You show them, you get them to do it, or you show them how it looks, you mess it all up, have them do it again until they can do it like you. And now 3 or 4 times, now when you have a bunch of towels and you need laundry folded, guess who can do it? Your 5-year-old, okay? And they love to do it.
Yeah, just before you go to the next one, wanted to add a +1 on with Zach paying his cell phone bill. One of the key things was not nagging. Hey, are you going to pay your cell phone bill? Are you going to pay your cell phone bill? No nagging. It was something to just let go and let them be able to rise up and then be able to do it 100% all on their own. That's going to take some patience and rethinking on our part to create that environment so they can, because nothing's cooler than, look what I did all by myself. And yes, we did wait probably 2 months before he did step up and do that. But when they do, that's the game changer.
Well, he had to go get a job, and then he actually had to start his job, and then he had to work more than 1 shift a week. So, I mean, yeah, it's been a couple of months, but as soon as he had enough money from his paycheck, he paid it all by himself. So that's just fabulous. All right. Telling them, so we're on number 4.
Okay.
All right. So telling them when you do this, you're a good boy or girl is a very toxic habit, as I just read out of that book why, but Tom's going to share what is proactive and positive instead.
Yes. Having them live up to your expectations versus flipping it around is obviously toxic, but flipping it around and once again, validate that they are a winning lotto ticket, just like you. You overcame millions of odds to show up here in physical form as a winning lotto ticket, and you had a gift to give to the world. So being able to accept them as their own uniqueness, just like their thumbprint, accepting them for who they are, and they're going to be able to do things in their own unique way. That's what's key. There's more than one way to skin a cat. We've heard this many, many times. There's many roads that lead to Rome. Being able to let them do it in their own unique way. Do you really care how they make their bed as long as it's made? And it's when we want them to make it exactly the way that we want them to do it, toxic. If they can do it in their own unique way, then that is duplicating or transferring, so that missing life skill is something that they can take ownership of.
Yes. Yes, your children are brilliant and perfect just the way they are. And when we can share this message in such a way that no matter what you do, you're perfect. Let me show you how to do it the right way. Let me show you how to do it and teach you how to do it so that you can get what you want in the most positive way, and it's, yes, I love that. I love that. Okay. So number 5 is, you'll hear this a lot from conscious parenting or the positive parenting movement, but that we should focus on consistent discipline. I want to find out what that actually means. Okay, so if you look up discipline in the dictionary right now, it will say some sort of type of punishment. But if you looked up discipline in the dictionary 5 years ago, it would have said to teach. All right, so I'm saying this in the way that we've been taught, consistent discipline, consistent punishment, whatever it is, timeouts, takeaways. And I want to bring this up: spare the rod, spoil the child. And you don't have to be a Christian, but how many of us have heard of that before? Spare the rod, spoil the child. All right, I want to explain what that means, because a lot of times we think that the shepherds in the old days used to use the rod to beat the sheep, but that's not true. The rod was a staff that the shepherds who were working with the sheep, guiding them, would use to guide the direction of which way the sheep should go. And if there was a little sheep that kept running away from the pack, then the sheep would actually have his leg broken. The shepherd would carry the sheep over his shoulder until the leg healed, and the sheep would never leave the herd again. So I just wanted to say, he didn't walk around with the rod beating all the sheep all the time. All right. That's not what it meant. So spare the rod, spoil the child means if we do not take the time to guide our children in the direction that they should go, how to practice safely on the street, how to be cooperative, and what the expectations are when we leave the house, when we go for a walk, when we go to a restaurant, whatever it is. It's up to us to use our rod to guide our children in the way that they should go. All right. Number 6, speaking double negatives. Stop it. We don't do that here. Very toxic.
Oh. And we probably heard many of them. We heard lots of things of, hey, how's it going today? Can't complain. Right? Or better yet, went to the grocery store and the cashier, how's it going? Well, it's going good to great. How about you? Not bad. And I said, oh, I like this guessing game. Let me think here. If it's not bad, how about really good? You see, being able to speak in double positives is allowing you to actually know what you are doing. But see, can't complain, not bad, is really not answering the question, is it?
Don't run.
Don't run. How many of us, okay, so don't run. How many of us remember going to the swimming pool and it had that big giant sign? It had no, and then it was splashing, spitting, jumping, diving, just to name a few. And you're thinking, okay, well, if these are all the things I can't do, you start to think, question, can I get in the water? I mean, what can I do? So speaking double negatives, right? Don't hit your brother.
Right.
Okay. Well, thanks, Einstein. Boy, I really know what to do now. And we're having a little fun with this, right? Tell them what they can do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the big difference. So instead of hitting your brother, what could you do to get your way? And that might be is ask your brother first or hug your brother. Talk in what is the proactive cause that would create the proactive result. That's the game changer.
Oh my gosh, we're going through this so fast, but these are so powerful. Oh my gosh, these are life-changing tips that we're sharing right now.
Oh, we love the little happy faces.
We love happy faces. All right, so number 7 would be dictating, constantly telling them what to do. Sit up straight. Go over there. Go get your clothes on. No, don't wear that. Wear that. Oh, I don't like that shirt. Go get a different shirt, right? Constantly dictating to tell your children what to do is toxic.
Yes. So dictating versus asking questions. The neatest thing about asking questions is it stimulates thinking. If you're always telling our kids what to do, they won't be able to do anything without you because you're living in a dictatorship. And when you're gone, they won't do anything because they're waiting for you to yell at them. However, if we started to ask questions, then it starts to allow them to start to think, which is part of that being a dependent to becoming an independent. And by asking questions, what should I be doing right now? Versus, hey, go do your homework now.
Right.
Why? Because I told you to. Right? Yes, you might be able to strong arm them. But how many of us are feeding our kids vegetables and you know they're going to grow up and you're not going to be able to do that for very much longer? So asking the questions allows them to start to think. And if I was not here, what would you do to be ready for school tomorrow? And then they can be like, I don't know, which is always going to be a knee-jerk reaction and be like, I know you don't know. Validate. But if you had to guess, what would be your best guess? Kind of like a jar of jelly beans. You don't know how many are in there, but just guess. Give it a go. And that's the part to move from toxicity into positivity.
I love that. Don't dictate, ask questions. I remember when I was first learning this and all I had was sticky notes all over my office because I didn't have the program or the book or anything. But one time the kids were supposed to do their chores. I had 4 kids that would just lounge all over my living room and watch my TVs and use my computer. I had to like ask permission to get into my office. And so anyway, they had said that they were going to do their chores. I came home, chores weren't done. Kids are laying all over the couch. And so I phoned Tom and I'm like, hey, kids are laying all over the couch. What do I say? And he goes, what was that question that you asked again? And he goes, go in there and say, hey guys, what should we be doing right now? Oh yeah, that's great. So I go in there, hey guys, what should we be doing right now? And they looked at me like a deer in the headlights, like, I don't know. Because when Tom would ask them, of course, they'd know the answer and they'd hop to it. But when I asked them, I don't know. So then I'm like, oh, I'll be right back. So I go back into the office. I phone Tom and I'm like, oh, they just said, I don't know. Now what do I say? He goes, go back in there and go, well, I know you don't know, but if you had to guess. So I went in there, I said the question, and then all 4 of them go, our chores. And they got up, turned the TV off, and they did their chores. And it was that simple. Yes, it was that simple because they felt like they had some skin in the game. They were part of the conversation. They got to give me the right answer. I got to praise their right answer, and they felt good about that. And they just got up and did it. It was just so amazing to me. And that's why, we're here 10 years later doing this, because it actually works, and it works just like that. Kids want to feel important. They need to have purpose in their life. They crave more responsibility. If you feel like you're moving and packing and they're like, well, what's my job? And you're like, oh, go watch TV. That's your job. Just stay out of the way. That's your job. Stay out of the way. Can you see how disempowering that is for a little human spirit who wants to have purpose, direction?
I want to turn.
I want to be like you. Someday I will have an opinion just like you do. Someday I'll be able to do the things that you do. But the thing is they can do a lot of those things at the age of 2, 3, 4, 5. By the time they're 15 years old, they can be completely independent, know how to go get a job, know how to pay their cell phone bill, know how to clean their room, do their own laundry, do the dishes, help around the house if you need to. It's just amazing what they are capable of. And we are stealing life from our kids when we're doing these 10 toxic parenting things that we have been trained to do forever, forever. I mean, 100 years ago, it was look at me the wrong way and I'm going to smack you upside the head. And then it just changed to, instead of physically harming them, we're now spiritually and mentally harming them by becoming an overcompensator for them, by doing too much for them, by not giving the opportunity for them to rise up. And like Tom said, give them the opportunity to fail a few times. You didn't know how to drive a car the minute you decided you wanted to drive a car. You had to learn, you had to read a book, you had to practice. That's your 2-year-old needs to learn how to practice, feeding themselves and stuff. Like this is just such amazing things. All right. Are we on number 8?
Number 8.
Number 8. We're talking about distracting. And I remember seeing this YouTube video one time where they thought it was kind of funny. The baby's in a car seat and they take their cell phone and the baby cries, and the mom goes, oh, here's my cell phone. And the baby goes, oh, and then they take the cell phone away and it cries and they give the cell phone back. Now, in that moment, what are they training the baby to do? Right? You get it. They're training the baby to cry. Cry. Oh, I'll give you what you want if you cry. I mean, it's cute. They thought it was cute. They thought it was funny, but they're teaching the baby to cry to get what I want. And that's how simple that is. When you see a toddler banging a glass on a glass table, and the reason I use that as an example quite often is because it happened. My little, I was with a 2-year-old and he was actually doing that exact thing. And everybody around him was trying to distract him. And I'm like, wait, I see you want to bang on the glass table. Validate first what he wants. Let me show you where you can bang and have that experience in a safe environment. And I brought him over to the pots and pans and a wooden spoon, and I taught him he could bang there all day long. So I didn't distract him with a cell phone or an iPad or a game or something like that to stop him from banging on the table. I showed him where he could bang, and moving forward, when he wanted to bang, he knew where and how and what to bang on to make it right. So distracting.
Yes. Distracting is the toxicity. But what if we were able to allow them to embrace their own uniqueness? One of the neatest things is we would always teach a jingle jangle to our little genius kids of, I am a genius when I embrace my own uniqueness. And that thumbprint is our unique stamp because it's custom to you. If any two of these ever matched, it'd probably be in the Guinness Book of World Records. And they also know that a thumbprint, the police can actually convict you because it's unique to you and you only. So beginning to flip it around and allow them to embrace their own uniqueness. Let them know that no matter how things are done, you're going to do it in your own unique way. And here's a way that you can do it, and then allow them to be themselves.
Awesome stuff. Okay, so number 9 is bribing. Hey guys, If you're just good over here, you can have this reward. That's toxic. You know it's toxic. I don't even need to tell you that's toxic. You can tell.
Right. So in this case, how do we decipher between things that we should provide for them and things that they should be, quote unquote, learning how to earn and make show up on their own?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what if we were to put things into two kinds of categories? One is rights. The other one would put everything else into privileges. And what I mean by rights is when I was running the after school martial art program, we became a licensed daycare center to help some of the moms and so forth. And by doing so, I got a chance to work very in depth with Child Protective Services over a very long period of time. And one thing that I love best about Child Protective Services is sometimes we have a real negative connotation to them, but what they do is they really support the three rights that all of us have. We all have a right to food. We all have a right to shelter. And we all have a right to clothes. So food, clothes, and shelter. If those three things are missing, then Child Protective Services are in there to validate and uphold the rights. So all of our kids have food, clothes, and shelter. You got to give that to them, bar none. Now, shelter is basically a bedroom, cot in a corner, nothing special. Clothes, something to wear, may not even be matching. It's not designer this or designer that. And food is just something to eat. Now, if we can go ahead and say, yes, I'm going to provide all three of those for you, but everything else, we call those privileges and we call those goals. Well, I want a Frisbee, or I want a Red Ryder red wagon. I would love for you to have one of those. We call those a goal. And let me show you what us big kids do. Keyword is show what we do so you too could actually earn anything and everything that is a privilege. Because when we start going on to the other side of, hey, I was at the store today and I got you this shirt. And then they're like, great, they didn't ask for it. And then you start feeling a little resentment. Gosh, you just ungrateful little bugger, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the difference. Bribing, toxic, allowing them to identify it as a goal, and then coming to you as a trusted advisor to see a plan of action so they can earn those up and above the three rights.
Oh, I just love that. So I just want to just say this as well, because we might be so used to our home environment that we can't really hear that. But playing video games is a privilege, not a right. You don't owe them video games, Wi-Fi, television, steak dinners. Like, you don't owe them 3-course meals every night. And, I'm going to go around and make 5 different meals for my 5 different kids because they don't like what I made. You don't owe them all of these things. Cookies, desserts, the shirt, the toy at Toys R Us. So when you take your kids out, this is so cool. Take your kids out. Mommy, I want this. Mommy, I want that. It doesn't end. I was just at the mall the other day and this little girl was going, Mommy, I want you to buy me something. And the mom's going, of course you do. No, I'm not going to buy you anything else right now. And she kept asking. I finally looked at this little girl. She must have been 6 or 7. And I'm like, oh, did you have your own money today? Did you bring your own money? Because like, this is so cool. My kids bring their own money and they can buy things. And she just kind of looks at me and I'm like, maybe you could ask your mom that you could probably do the dishes or something like that. And maybe you could earn some money so you can come back and buy something. And she just looked at me like a deer, but she stopped talking. It almost gave her like a shock. Like, I could have my own money. Like, I could buy my own things. And when that starts happening, guys, this is so empowering. We might seem mean. We don't owe our kids Wi-Fi. And I want to say this too. We owe our kids food, clothes, and shelter until the age of 16. After the age of 16, you don't even owe them that. It is a privilege to have a bedroom in your home. And that's the truth. And that's the empowering truth. It's not mean, it's empowering. It's like, what do you want? You could be doing, have anything. What is your goals? And so when you're out and about and your kids are going, can I have, you go, I would love for you to have that. That is so cool. How many do you want? 1, 2, or 3? What's your favorite color? Great. You're validating, you're asking questions, you're giving them an opportunity to think. And then you can say, we're going to put that on your goal board. And I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do to make that show up for yourself the next time you come. So remember, when you're telling your kids, don't hit your brother. All right. So what do you want him to do? I want him to keep his hands to himself, use his words to get what he wants, right? And so this is a life skill. Babies are not born knowing all of this. It's a life skill. So it's like, okay, if you go 7 days in a row, we're going to come shopping again in 7 days. We're going to put the picture that if you want this little $5 thing on a goal board. And when you keep your hands to yourself for 7 days in a row, when we come back, you can earn that for yourself. This is how you get your children to keep their hands to themselves, whatever it is that you want them to do. Are you with me on this? We stop giving them things and stop buying them things that they never asked for, because sure. Anytime I have a rub with my son, it's because I overcompensated. And yes, I'm a human being and I will still get caught doing it once in a while, but not very often. All right. So that was bribing. Okay. Number 10. Dun, 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 dun. Last but not least, expecting them to be who you want them to be is toxic.
And we talked about it in several of them before, but allow them to show you who they are. Allow them to be able to do it in their own unique way. Mm-hmm. 9 times out of 10, the kids that I worked with would do things in the way that were so far off my radar. But if we didn't have that window to say, well, look at you, little genius. I never thought to ever do it that way.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Matter of fact, that's even a better way than I was thinking on how to do it. And there's a relationship there that starts to build, because when we're open like a flower, we can take in the good stuff. And being able to be locked in and just do it an old traditional way is toxic. But allowing them to show you who they are. And each generation always pushes the threshold a little bit farther than the previous generation. How many of us can relate to this? It was back when they were talking about the 4-minute mile. The scientists would say there's no way, the heart couldn't handle it. It would explode. And then all of a sudden, as soon as somebody hit it, then the next generation of runners, then there was kids being able to do it at a much younger age. Skiing and the X Games, you start seeing things go from Evel Knievel, who had this big heavy bike, to you see the X Games and they're doing things that are way beyond what we can do. It's allowing them to do it in their own unique way, and allowing us to watch them do it on who they are and see them for who they are. That's the positive side, because they'll always do it almost better, or even in a way that was even off your radar.
Mm-hmm. I want to say hi to Eve. Thanks for watching. If you're out there. And if you are on YouTube or you're watching this on our fan page, I did put a link at the bottom of the description where you could join us here live, have a conversation with us, challenge anything that we're saying, agree with what we're saying, whatever you want to do. We're open to talk to you. And Eve, you said, yes, it's true. We've never been taught to speak kid. No, we've never been taught to speak kid. We've been taught to speak adult. We've been taught to speak to our kids like there's some sort of different species. Like right. They have different desires and different thoughts and different spirits than you do. Yes. But the truth is they are just a mini version of you. And you know that when your parents were telling you what to do when you were 14 and 15 and 16, that you hated it. You know this, right?
Oh, that was the old classic. Don't do as I do, but do as I
say.
ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, and so I was watching this movie last night, and the kid has some kind of learning disabilities, and he's like, "Why did God make me this way?" And she's like, "We might not understand everything when it comes to God. Just like when I'm hard on you and I punish you, that I want the best for you, and that's why I do these things." And I'm like, "Gosh, why not just like allow him to be who he is?" We have this misunderstanding or conception, because all I could think was, look at when you do something that God doesn't like, he does not come down from heaven and take away your favorite toy. Like, he doesn't come down from heaven and take your car away and go, when you do this right, I'll give it back. So like, we're not following that lead. My kids are asking why I'm listening to you guys again. I said, why do you think you have star charts and how you get to earn all the things you want? They're the ones giving me the idea for you to earn what you want. Exactly. My kids' friends used to come over and go, I wish I could earn things, instead of just being told yes or no. Children do not want to be controlled. They want to be empowered, and they want to have some skin in the game. Hopefully this all makes sense. I want to finish with this story, and I'm going to invite somebody up, but there was this prince. I don't know his name, what prince it is, but this rich kid who was born and really never left the castle. He had servants to feed him, servants to dress him, servants to bathe him, servants to do everything for him, and was really never taught any life skills. He was so coddled, so wrapped in this bubble wrap to protect him, that one day the gates were open and the kid was 10 years old, and he was so excited to have some freedom that he ran through the gates on the street, got hit by a car, and died. And so I'm telling you this story because you can only protect your baby in a bubble wrap for so long. It is so empowering when you can teach your 2-year-old and 3-year-old what a car is and what a hot burner means, so that they don't touch the burner and burn themselves. It's a little counterintuitive, but it's very empowering. So as they're asking me to take them to Disney, I said, okay, awesome. That's a goal we can work towards. I love it, Eve. I love it. And when we start working together more closely, you are going to be super, super empowered, and these questions are going to stop coming. So who would like to share? Show me by hand if you'd like to come on and just share something that you maybe had an aha moment today, or okay. And just Brittany, you're going to have to unmute yourself there.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, back to what was it? Toxic parenting technique number 8, distracting. Yeah, I know, and of course, I know you all probably notice it too whenever you go to Walmart, how you see a lot of kids sitting in the basket with iPads or an iPhone or something like that. And we're talking, like a baby as young as 18 months sitting there holding the phone, staring at it. I'm like, wow, okay. So, um, and yeah, I also caught that. Last Sunday when I was at church, the we have a new assistant pastor, and he's young pastor, young family, and his wife, which I can kind of understand. She has two very young kids. They're both toddlers. One of them is 2, and or the little girl is 2, and the little boy, I think he might be 18 months or something like that. And so, she had her phone trying to give it to the little boy, to distract him. But I'm like, yeah,
They
that's like
need
that.
they need creating champions for life in their life.
Yeah,
Yeah, and so there's no judgment at all, because
right.
I used to do the same thing. I used to think that if I brought my kids to the grocery store, the first thing I would do is go get them the free cookie, and then run around the store as fast as I could to fill my cart to get out. And then when I learned this, then it was like, hey, what's important for you guys when we go grocery shopping? Well, I want the cookie. Awesome. So, and then I would work with them. If we stay with the cart, help mommy get the groceries, we get done faster. Would you like half a cookie or a whole cookie? and they would actually help me shop. It was so much faster. There was no whining, complaining, asking of anything. And at the end, they got what was important to them, which was the whole cookie. So I just changed it around. Instead of trying to distract them with it, had them earn it, and it made all the difference in the world. So yeah, awesome. Thank you for sharing. Chrissy and Craig, do you want to share?
I want to ask a question.
Okay.
Hi.
Yes, hello. I know you want to share, but if you could take a moment.
You're pushing me out of the way.
Oh.
I'm falling off my chair.
If you could take a moment to maybe echo back what Eve was talking about on your kids, kind of going, hey, are you talking to that Champions for Life thing again? There was a moment that you shared that from time to time where they were kind of asking you that same thing. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Asking for were you just talking about when she was just saying how they're asking for, I want to go to Disney, or I want to do this, and that's a goal kind of thing?
Well, they would ask you from time to time of
Why are you talking to them?
yeah, why are you
again?
talking to those people again?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
expand on that so Eve can
Yeah.
know that that's
It's normal.
it's normal.
Yep. Oh yeah, it's definitely normal. They want to know what's going on, and they can sense, they see us joining in meetings, and we change in so many things, and so they're curious and they want to be involved, and they actually come in and they sit in our room with us. A lot of the times they're curious to see what we're doing, and they listen in on a lot of the calls that we go on, the coaching calls and our accountability calls. Yeah. So it's great. Yeah.
Well, my kids used to be like, can't we just go back to the way it was before where you told us what to do and I didn't need to think?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Gave me
all the
everything
Oh
time.
yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't think
Yeah.
they like you too much, but they will.
They come around, and then we end up being their favorite people on the planet.
Yep.
So
Yep.
when they
Yeah,
feel it,
definitely.
you know
Of
what the
course.
thing is, guys, is
Yeah.
when you begin to make the shift from just giving them everything for free and lavishing them with attention to having them earn it, they don't believe that they can do it on their own without you. And so a little bit of fear sets in, like, oh my gosh, like I'm not going to be able to have anything in my life now because I don't know how to do it. So once you allow them, you stick to your guns, maintain your integrity, and they do create success on their own, that's when their confidence starts to rise. They start to feel worthy. And then they look at you as the catalyst of that. So just wanted to
Right.
share that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are your
definitely.
thoughts about today's talk?
So yeah, that story that you were reading from at the beginning really touched me. I was crying a little bit along with you. Just to me, it was feeling like, and then what you just talked about with God and that unconditional love, the unconditional love, and not setting our expectations and, determining, letting them think that you have to be like this in order to feel worthy and feel loved, and loving them no matter what they choose, or how they want to do things, like their own uniqueness, and helping them to just feel loved no matter what. Yeah, that was a big feeling
Yeah,
for
so
me.
huge. And Craig?
Yeah.
Yeah, going through the toxic versus positive, all of them, they just, as you go through them, you just realize how much they make sense, and how much, like, I was doing all the toxic stuff but not realizing I was doing it, thought I was doing the right thing. But then when you look at the positive side, which you guys talk about, it's just so eye-opening and makes total sense. So,
Yay.
Yes.
Well, I'm so
Yes.
glad you're here and you're on
Absolutely.
track, and we're creating champions
Yeah.
for life all over the planet. And it's super exciting. You guys make everything that we do worth it. Anything else? Or is that's good?
Yeah, that was good. Yeah. Just even just these 10 things just starting to change those things a little bit at a time. It really does make a really big difference when you consciously practice it, and to want to change and do those things every day, it adds up and you will notice a difference, definitely. So
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Dawn, did you want to share something? I'm going to put you on because you usually like to share something.
Yeah, sure. I could share something. I was thinking about a couple things. One, like about the kids being curious and stuff. So I would always think before about like one of the things that is a disadvantage of being a single parent is that I don't have the mate there to say, okay, let's tone it down now a little bit. Like, like if I'm yelling or something and I don't realize, or I'm maybe being too strict or something, to have that reminder. But the kids are picking up on me doing this program, and they'll say something like, well, does your parenting program tell you that you should do this or that? So I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I appreciate the reminder. So yeah, there's that. And then I was thinking about it, still having finding some of those balances, like when I mean, I'm learning along the way, but like what you had your video, and I just love seeing your Zach when he's little, and he showed his coat and he was telling us about his champion Chad and Whiny Willie, and so I'd tell the kids about that. I thought that was so cute. And so, but that was like me first watching it, and so I was telling the kids, you're gonna have to earn everything, even if you need some socks, you're gonna have to earn them. But now it's more of like, okay, well, that falls into the rights of being clothed as the socks, something fancy, extraordinary that they isn't something they necessarily need, would be more of the privilege. So
Right.
it's still finding that balance. So like right now, I still have them, they're doing their chores and stuff to be able to earn like TV time. But I know that they also would like to be able to earn maybe some money to buy things at the store. So sometimes I'll have them earn like a trip to the dollar store, and they can pick out one thing in the dollar store. But so I'm thinking maybe we're just not quite there yet, where we're still earning those little things and not to the point of earning like more money for.
Interesting. So I have the star chart up on the fridge, and we don't really even. I have it there to keep track to make sure, but we have it like if you get under a certain amount of points, then you're saying like I want to pay for Wi-Fi. But if you're above average or outstanding on that, includes Wi-Fi, organic coffee beans in the morning, but also everything that he does to contribute to the house has $1 attached to it as well. So he can earn up to $50 a week on the star chart, as well as all of the goodies and desserts and everything else. Free reign to come watch movies, play video games with us. Certain levels on the star chart will open up the Pandora's box. And then if for whatever reason he kind of like is like down, he doesn't get it. He's never had so bare minimum where he didn't get the Wi-Fi yet, because he's pretty amazing. And really, if he's into his video games too much, just have to say, hey, Zach, planning on doing a chore today? And then he'll come down and go, what do you need me to do? And so he's so amazing right now that it's like the attitude of a 17-year-old that everybody would dream to have in their home. And how can you, just that alone is enough for him to have Wi-Fi. But are you reading what I'm laying down there?
Yeah.
So every segment of the day could be like a 25-cent piece or something like that, and then at the end of the week they can earn $5 or $10, depending on how old your kids are. Mine's 17, so we have it a little bit higher, but
Okay. That sounds good.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Just as a real quick +1, Don. would be, as long as you are switching the cause to your little geniuses running around the house.
Yeah.
That's the part. You release you being the cause, which means without you, they couldn't have anything. Being able to switch the cause to where, oh, you mean I could do this, and then what I want starts to show up. That's the game changer. Will it take some time? Absolutely. Will we get it right the first time? Never. But as long as you kind of know why you're doing it versus the how, right? When the intention's clear, the method will always appear. You're always going to be winning and getting better every single day. Shifting that cause to them, allowing them to go, ooh, you mean so when the bed is being made, more of what I want showing up?
Yes.
That's the game changer. And forget about perfection. Forget about, ooh, look at me, I'm awesome. Just do something.
Okay, great.
Yes.
And that's it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's a great place to start.
That's awesome. So if you're just getting to know us, thank you so much for sharing, Dawn. We love you guys. If you're just getting to know us, here's a step that you can take right now that's imperative to moving forward with this. What?
We have a banner.
Oh, what I was going to say is make a list of all of the things that, well, if you made a list of all the things that drive you crazy, first of all, it's a really good place to start, right? Everything that you don't like, because that's just typical. We can look around and see things that we don't like. Well, I don't like how my kids argue and they hit each other and this happening, disrespect and all the things that you don't like. Now, if you write down all the things you don't like, then you write down what's the opposite of that. Okay, my kids actually get along, right? And they listen, they speak respectfully. So these are life skills that they need to learn, that it's your job to actually teach them. Then you make a list of privileges that are in the home above food, clothes, and shelter. If they're over the age of 16, then even food, clothes, and shelter you don't owe that to them anymore, is what I found out, which is kind of cool. Because it kind of puts you in a good place to be if you're raising a disrespectful teenager. It's like a privilege to be in your home, and that's the truth. So privileges could be anything from brown sugar on oatmeal, ketchup on a hot dog, right? Designer clothes, the video game, sitting in the living room on the couch versus the floor. You could sit on the floor would be a right. Sitting on the couch could be a privilege. You could take this so far down the rabbit hole as far as you need to go. And you go, okay, these are the privileges that my children are currently getting for free. These are the life skills that I need to teach them, that they need to earn. So let's choose one thing off of the life skills list that they need to learn. Let's choose one thing and focus on that. So then it's like, hey, if you keep your hands to yourself, right? You don't hit your little sister all day long. Keep your hands to yourself every day this week. We're going to open up Pandora's box over here, a privilege over here that you might not have access to right now. Hopefully that makes sense. So it's just a starting point. Make a list of the privileges so you can actually see like, wow, look at all the arsenal I have my hands on to engage my children, to motivate them from the inside out, because you can't motivate them by yelling at them. The only way you can motivate them is if they have a desire for a goal. They have a desire for a goal and they're going to be engaged now. How do I earn this goal? How can I watch TV every day? How can I have access to Wi-Fi so I can play my Xbox? You know what I mean? So that's a privilege. What do you want is the most important thing on that list that you can start teaching them today, and begin looking at your kids through educational lenses versus behavioral lenses. They are not going out of their way to be rotten. They don't want to tick you off. They are not in our lives to test us, contrary to popular teachings. No, they don't have a job to test you. All they want to do is to be taught the life skills they need to make the things that are important to them show up, and allow them to wear mismatched clothes and rubber boots with their dress or whatever. I mean, who cares? Let them be who they are, and you won't end up with a teenager who wants to shave their head and wear earrings everywhere. And see what I'm saying? Because you let them embrace their uniqueness when they are younger, they'll grow up to be well, whoever they're supposed to be. And then your job is to go, holy crap, you're the most amazing person ever, because I can actually see who you are versus you living a lie trying to impress me. Awesome. All right, you guys, we're going to wrap today's session up. We'll see you next week. If you're looking for this group, you want to come on and join us in the live book study, go to learntospeakkid.com and get the resources, the audiobook, the ebook, and you'll be invited into our secret group where we announce this and you can come chat with us. All right.
Okay.
Bye.
So until we meet again, here's
Here's
to our
parenting success.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bye for now.